Hi.
Hello, Nola. How's everyone doing? Day 2 of Essence Festival of Culture. Thank you for being here. We're going to talk about Black love on the page. This afternoon, I have with me Alexa Martin and Christina Forrest. So, just to start, Alexa, if you can begin, tell us a little bit about yourself, like an elevator pitch bio, so to speak.
So I'm Alexa Martin. I'm a romance and women's fiction writer. I am a mom of 4, a wife. I started writing because my husband had played in the NFL for 8 years, and I decided to write a book about it and make it more romantic. So just got started and can't stop, thankfully.
This is loud. Sorry. I'm Christina. I write romance as well. Obviously, my most recent book is called The Summer Girlfriend. It just published last month, June 9th. And that is a book about a woman who is fake dating a very wealthy guy at his family's beach house. And the books I wrote before that were the Green Sisters series, which is Neighbor, Favor, Partner, Plot, and Love Lyric. Each book is about a different sister and their love lives. So, yeah.
Okay, and The Summer Girlfriend, Christina, I'm not even sure if you've seen it yet, is featured in our latest issue,
I did not
the
see
print
it.
issue, which is also on sale in the merch store further up in the convention center, but it is.
Okay, cool.
I'll show it to you after. Okay, so Alexa, this first question will be for you. Many black women feel intense pressure to maintain the whole strong black women, handle, right? And someone who can navigate pain and struggle silently. How can romance novels give black women permission to be vulnerable, to be open, to be soft, in a world where we're expected to be everything but?
I think the best thing about romance is you can put the hardships in it in the safe way where they get the happily ever after. So you can see them go through these low moments in the safety of knowing that somebody's going to love them through it no matter what. I always say it's not a book of mine if the main character's not a mess. So I love a messy person who feels all of the feelings and goes through it and has grief and joy, and knowing that they're going to find that partner that loves them through it, which is what we all deserve and should get. So
I love that answer. I have an aunt who unfortunately passed away during COVID. But, people talk about the rich auntie, the rich auntie. She was far from rich, but one of the things that I admired about her was that she loved romance novels. And, this is during a time when most of the romance novels she read had, white couples on the cover, and the man and the woman had very long hair, and they were, embracing. But in the midst of her working, these very hard jobs and raising children, she always made time for herself and a book. Right? And I think there's a lot of luxury in that. So, yeah, can you speak to that?
yeah, no, it's so, I was a reader before I was a writer. And a lot of, I think why I started writing was all of the books that I was reading were by white authors with white characters. And I remember looking on Pinterest and trying to find any character inspiration that looked kind of brown. And this was, now I think we're so lucky in this social media day and age where you can see and find book bloggers, because there's so many books with black characters, and just experience the whole breadth of what it is to be a human. And we still need so many more.
Yeah.
We still need so many more.
Right. So, Christina, when you're developing your characters and writing about couples navigating the complexity of modern dating, how do you ensure authenticity?
That's a really good question. I think that when I'm in the early stages of plotting a book, I do a lot of character work. I do these character questionnaires, and it starts from what's your name, what's your nickname, to what's your favorite flavor of ice cream? If you were an animal, what would you be? Because what I like to do is to know my characters so well, or as well as I can before I start writing, so that I know what they would do in any given situation, which is tough because your characters, you want them to do one thing and then they change. They just sort of take on a mind of their own. But I think that a way that I try to make things feel realistic is often through dialogue. And just a lot, honestly, is eavesdropping on a lot of people's conversations and hearing the way that people talk to each other in a way that feels realistic. And I think that the way that you speak, the phrases that you use, says a lot about who you are as a person, or the things that you pick up on and comment on. So definitely dialogue, I think, is a quick way to make the characters feel authentic, and also to build up that banter, which I think a lot of romance readers enjoy, is those conversations. Yeah.
Right. That's interesting that you like find out all those things about the
Yeah.
character before you really start writing the book. Okay, so the literary market, and either of you can take this one, the literary market has seen an explosion of Black romance and relationship fiction as of late. But when you talk about the fact that there was like basically none even 25 years ago, we still have a ways to go. However, where do you see the genre going next? Like, what are the stories that maybe still aren't being told in mass that you'd like to see come to fruition?
I mean, I think there were still a lot of Black writers forever. It's just the visibility, which is still such a problem of like how we are showcased by the industry at a whole, at large. I think there's still, I think what I think of with this genre a lot is, because they're so much smaller, we want to see everything, right? Like, we just need more of us because we're not a monolith, and we want like every aspect. We want like to open the book and to see ourselves, but also to know that if we don't see ourselves in this book, there's so many other books that we can see ourselves within. So I just think we need more, and I do think there are so many more writers, and self-publishing is helping with that. And it's more accessible now, which I think helps.
I was going to say that the Black indie romance space is very robust. And I do think that indie in general in the romance space is really leading the charge. The issue is with traditional publishing. You know, right now, this year, I think I can probably count on one hand how many traditionally published Black romances there were. But in the indie space, it's all over. And there's so many different subgenres. So I think that traditional publishing, which they kind of are, there are a lot of more indie authors who are being like snapped up by traditional publishers. But I think that what I love so much about the indie romance space is that because you don't have to answer to anyone, you can take risks in a really fun way. And so I think that's what I want more for the traditional publishing space for Black authors too, is to, we don't have to be boxed in, you know, just more opportunities overall. Yeah.
Okay. And why do you both feel that it's important for Black women to, because we are here at Essence, right? That it's important for Black women to read about other Black women being loved romantically and intellectually, like experiencing romance, you know, from a physical standpoint, but also intellectually?
I think that it's validating. Like, speaking from my own experience, like reading your book, I just finished reading The Misconnection by Tia Williams, and like, you want to see yourself in a story. You know, we talk a lot about mirrors and windows, but there's not enough mirrors for Black women a lot of the time. And I think it's important for us to be able to read a book and see characters who we look like and also relate to, and the conversations that are had. I love when I can read a book and I feel like I'm reading from the perspective of like my best friend. Like, this character feels very close to me, because that validation, I think, is really important. And I also just love feeling like these are characters I could know in real life.
Right.
The series that I'm thinking about right now is Danielle Allen's Curve series. I love those main characters in those books because I feel like I'm talking to my best friend when I'm reading them. And I think that's important for every reader to be able to have that experience.
And how does your writing explore the intersectionality of class, sexuality, gender identity, when depicting Black relationships? Because I also feel like in media as a whole, right? Like on screen, on the big screen, on the small screen, there just hasn't been, for a long time, a lot of depictions of our relationships that are layered, not just, one-dimensional, right?
I think we did an event last month, and our books have a lot in common, I think, with that. And in these kind of small towns where the Black family is kind of the pillar of the community. with Your Small Town, mine. So just to see us in a position where like we don't have to struggle, where struggle is okay at times, but like we don't have to. And so seeing like Black families be on the page, be like the center of the community, which we know we often are, right? Like, I mean, we see us here, like we know how to build community. I think I lost the question.
Intersectionality, so like class.
The thing,
Yeah.
I mean, I think after you've written so many books too, it just tends to happen where you're exploring them in different ways. I know I want to, in the series I'm writing, do a sapphic romance, and so kind of change things up that way. And
I find that I write about class differences a lot too. Like in The Summer Girlfriend, he's wealthy and she's not, but that plays into the plot because she needs his money. She needs money to go back to college. But I think that when you are, it's just a reality. When you're choosing a partner, your finances, that's a big topic. How are you going to live your lives together? Are you financially on the same page with things? I think that's just a real conversation that we have with people who are we are like vetting to be our life partners. And so I think writing about money it's like just a real conversation. So I find I talk about that a lot in my books. Yeah.
Okay. Now, for people who are here today who may be interested in maybe dipping their toe in writing a romance novel, you know, how important is it for us to write about what we know, for people to write about what they know? And I'll give an example of, I know someone, a friend, who's been wanting to write romance novels, and she's Jamaican. And she's like, oh, you immediately looked up, right? But she's like, oh, you know, I have this idea of like, you know, maybe her meeting someone who's Black American or someone from another Caribbean island, and like what that dynamic is like. But I don't know if that's gonna, and I'm like, that's exactly why you should write it, right? Because we don't see or, you know, read those types of stories often, but if it's something that you're thinking about, other people are thinking about it too. And even if you're not of Caribbean descent, you're like, oh wow, this is interesting. Like this is something that I, you know, haven't read. So I'm going on and on. Yeah. But basically, I think you understand what I'm asking. Like writing about what you like, writing about HBCU love, writing about being like there's so many, we're not a monolith. We have so many stories, but I think sometimes we don't realize that our differences are our strengths. Yeah. So can you speak to that? I would love for both of you to answer.
I mean, I think I sometimes not on purpose put pieces of myself in every single book, and I think especially when you're starting writing, that might be, it's not necessarily the easiest way, but it is like you know it the most. Like my first book was about somebody who who dated an NFL player. It's like I knew that world really well, and then the more I write, the more I can kind of explore other things without the research. But I mean, every time, my last book is a cowboy romance. We just moved to Texas.
We love your
boots. Thank you. Yeah. So I just think when you put pieces of yourself, it lends to the authenticity of it. Yeah. And we do need stories that we relate to. So if you relate to it deeply, it's easy to put those feelings on page.
Yeah. And I think because, you know, we're all individuals, everything, what we bring to a book is going to be reflective of who we are, like our own personality. But then so I agree with what you're saying. And then I think on the flip side, like when you were saying that your friend wanted to write about a love interest that maybe wasn't from the background that she was from, I think that as long as it's approached with care and respect, the research of it, then I think the art can still be really appreciated. There's this one author named Nikki Payne who she's a Black romance writer. Her main characters are often Black, but the love interests will be like Filipino, or they'll be, I think the one that she has coming out next year, he might be Iranian. And she just does really, really strong research. So the character feels lived in, and you can tell that she came to his culture with respect. So I think that it's possible to like write what you know and what you feel, but then also write a really respectful depiction of a character who's from a background that you're not part of too.
Thank you for that. What is something that you want people who are interested in getting into writing romance novels to know, like, take away from this session?
The happily ever after is mandatory. That's like always a conversation. People are like, oh, it doesn't need to HEA. It does. If it doesn't, you have not written a romance novel. That's always an argument online, and we are always like, no, it's a genre convention.
I love that you said that. I did not think that was going to be your response.
That's my main thing. Like, it has to have a happily ever after. Yeah, that to me, that's like the main thing. That's what I would say. Yeah.
But you get creative in how she gets to the happily ever after.
There's an author named Sarah McLean who she does a lot of romance writing workshops, and she once described writing a romance as sort of like doing martial arts in a phone booth, because you have genre conventions that you have to feed into, but how you get there is up to you. But you have to make sure that you're hitting those different beats. Like the romance, to be a romance, the romance plot itself has to be the central A plot, and they have to end up together at the end. How you get there is up to you, but it has to be, those things have to be part of it.
Alexa, what would you add to that?
Well, I guess not just romance, but just like writing is to just start. I mean, my first book took me 4 years to finish. And just like, because it's so easy to stop and then go back, and then stop and then go back. But just to like push yourself until you get to the end, and maybe just start with one story, right? Like, it's also when you're writing, there's so many ideas that come.
Yeah.
So to like focus on one and then finish that, and then you can move forward. But like getting to the end, it does something for your confidence as well.
I think so too.
To just finish the book and finish that project, and that there's always going to be a reader. There's so many readers who are looking for your story, and we need it more than ever because it is getting a little bleak.
Yes.
Do you all feel like your books bring a certain amount of joy? I kind of touched on this when I talked about my aunt, but bring a certain level of joy to your audiences and your readers that is especially needed right now when you think about the political climate, and it just so happens to be the 4th of July. But like, yeah, and what does that mean to us? But what are your thoughts on that? Like,
Whenever I start a book, I always think that when I want my readers to finish with a smile on their face.
Yeah.
So that's like my main goal throughout it. Like, maybe I want you to cry a little bit, but I want you to smile at the end. I want you to laugh and have fun and see joy in the pages. It's why I write rom-coms. I love it. I want my readers to smile. I want it to be escapist. So for me, it's really important.
Yeah, my answer is the same. I always want readers to feel like they've been given a warm hug when they're done reading the book. Because like you said, we need art also that is intentionally created for joy. I think that's important.
and Black joy is so important, so important. Well, I think we're at time. But thank you both so much for being here and sharing all your insider secrets. Let's give them a round of applause.
Thank you for moderating.
Oh, of course. And both of your books, or The Summer Girlfriend is here for sale, no?
They unfortunately do not have copies of any of my books here today.
I didn't have anything to do with
No,
that.
I know it's not true. No, it's a different issue. But yeah, I'm happy to
Alexis.
take pictures.
But your
Her books are here.
Oh, okay. So we just got an update. Alexa's book. Which one?
By the Bootstraps, probably. My cowboy one.
Okay. So you can purchase one of Alexa's books, The Cowboy. What did you say?
By the Bootstraps. It's
By
a cowboy romance.
By the Bootstraps is available for purchase to my left. And are you signing it?
Oh, yes, I'll sign. And I have some goodies, so if you want to
Oh
bookmark.
my goodness. Okay, so you have to get the bookmarks. Okay.
Come get a goodie.
Okay.
My book is available on sale online. Yeah, like ebook, audiobook, physical. It's available, yeah, just not here.
Oh, some people already have.
Oh, okay.
I-
If you have copies, I will sign them if you brought them here. but
Okay,
they're not available. for
Okay.
sale.
So Christina, if you already have a copy of one of her books with you, she will sign it to my left. Thank you all so much.